We rarely question how we treat other non-human animals. We treat some animals well and others poorly. How is it that we find it easy to be nice to some animals and yet we eat others?
People help animals, people harm animals, animals help people, animals can harm people. And I think if we focus on just one part of that equation, it doesn't tell the whole story. So I try to get the big picture.
We have started to step up as a society when we see some animals suffering. It's a sign that our relationship with animals can change.
Our relationships are not based on any kind of biological basis. They've often been based on exploitation. That as I say, we have some we love, some we hate, some we eat.
It's an arbitrary line that's been drawn between sentient beings. There's no difference in terms of our ability to feel pain and fear and love and joy.
One of the ways that we enable ourselves to exploit animals or use animals or even harm animals is to minimize those connections we might have with them, the same way historically that we have been able to exploit other cultures, other races, by minimizing their humanity. I think a lot of the breaking of that connection is due to organized religions basically saying, well, man has a soul, man is special, man is unique. And that's been one of the challenges between like evolutionary biology and a lot of religious thinking, that the fear that somehow we are taking elements of man's uniqueness away. When I started in this area, we only had 4 states where torturing an animal might carry serious criminal offenses, and now we have every state, all 50 states now have some felony animal cruelty provision. So that alone, I think, shows that the courts, the legislatures, are taking animal cruelty more seriously.
99% of what we do is domestic animals, whether it's dogs, cats, and then we do get into livestock. Nothing surprises me anymore, unfortunately. We've seen everything, and it's a regular occurrence here. To me, if somebody intentionally hurts an animal and they enjoy that, then that's not somebody that we need to have out there in society.
Punishing people who are cruel to animals is now normal. What if you take the argument a step further?
Most animal abuse, the vast majority of animal abuse, is not people who want to torture a dog for fun. Of course, that's horrible. The vast majority of animal abuse takes place in industries, in the meat industry, the dairy industries, in the clothing industries. We're talking about billions of animals every year who are exploited so that companies can get rich. Most people say that they would never want to see an animal be hurt. And there's just a disconnect between people's everyday choices and the effect that that has on animals.
We have an aversion, or we don't eat dogs or cats, and there are cultures where that is done, yet they may criticize us for eating pigs, which we know physiologically, cognitively are just as capable of pain and suffering and just as intelligent, I think, as dogs.
Most people have never met a pig. Most people have never met a cow or a chicken or a turkey. They don't have the same connection with those animals. But once you start showing them, people start to realize that the animals that we use as food have the same feelings as our dogs and cats. And that is making a huge difference in getting people to leave them off their plates.
One of the trends we've seen is trying to increase appreciation again for the cognitive world of farm animals. There is an internal life, that these aren't just little animal factories, animal machines. And a lot of that started with some of the early literature on factory farming that identified them as basically being considered as machines.
Turkeys and chickens often have their throats cut while they're still conscious in the slaughterhouse. So by taking these animals off of our plates, we're obviously benefiting them enormously.
Part of it is we've kind of disguised through the source of food historically by naming it other things. You talk about going to a restaurant, ordering veal rather than dead baby cows. And it's a connection that a lot of parents are uncomfortable with their children making because they are meat eaters themselves. So we keep that illusion going.
We hear lots of different arguments. We get a lot of, oh, but bacon tastes so good. And I think people, like I was saying before, they just don't realize that when they say that, they haven't seen what happens to animals in order to become bacon. They have a whole disconnect because you have bacon, for example, it's packaged neatly on a store shelf, and it's completely separate from the animal.
If people
who it
open
came
their
from.
eyes to the suffering, will they eventually change their ways?
I'm all for transparency and honesty. Again, it's uncomfortable, particularly if you are not yourself trying to eat that way. That's part of our campaigns, is to educate yourself as to where your food comes from, how it's raised, and so on. I think that's important not just for animal welfare, but also for human health. What humans are best at is rationalization. And we can rationalize or justify anything we might do to other people, to other species, whatever, by finding some justification. What I like to say is, I'd rather feel the pain than not at all. And too many people, I think, are comfortable with just not feeling at all.
People have so many opportunities every day to help animals. We make dozens of choices, from what we're gonna have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to are we gonna buy a soap that was tested on animals or wasn't tested on animals. And these little opportunities make a life and death difference. The cruelty to animals that's inherent in our current system of food production, tests on animals, etc., is hidden from view. So we have a choice. We can choose to be kind or be cruel. And we're asking people to choose kindness.